Alright, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star guide, and today I'm here with the should you summon for Feixiao. As you're watching this, there is less than a day until the 2.5 update, so I'm sure a lot of people that are in between are still trying to figure out whether they want to summon or not. And so this video is going to be going over her kit really quickly, talking about some strengths and weaknesses, and then why reasons you should summon, along with why reasons you shouldn't summon. Again, this video is mainly to help the people that are sort of torn in between, so if you already have your decision, good for you. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Before I get into the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Let's get straight into it. So first, starting off going over her kit. She has just a regular basic attack which deals wind damage to a single target enemy. Her skill will first deal wind damage equal to 200% of Feixiao's attack to a single enemy, and then followed by that it will trigger one instance of the talent's follow-up attack. And then her ultimate, which is where she gets pretty interesting, as this ultimate is pretty much the core mechanic of her kit. Ultimate deals wind damage to a single target enemy up to 700% of Feixiao's attack. During that time, you can ignore weakness type to reduce the target's toughness so they don't have to have wind weakness. When the target is not weakness broken, Feixiao's weakness break efficiency increases by 100%, so if they're not weakness broken, as it says, you get a bunch. And during the ultimate, you are able to choose between using Bolt, Thunder, Blitz, or War Axe Skyward on the target for a total of 6 times. And then at the end, you would deal wind damage equal to 160% of Feixiao's attack to the target. The difference between Bolt, Thunder, Blitz, and War Axe Skyward is Bolt, Thunder, Blitz is the one you will be doing if the target is weakness broken, as the damage multiplier increases by 30%, and if they are not weakness broken, you will be choosing to use War Axe Skyward, which is the one that has the damage multiplier increased by 30% if the target is not weakness broken. So they are the same attack, the only difference is the multipliers are depending on if they're weakness broken or not, so you just look at the bar. If they're weakness broken, you use Bolt, Thunder, Blitz, and if they're not, you use War Axe Skyward. As for her talent, she can activate ultimate when Flying Aureus reaches 6 points, so it's similar to stacks. If you've seen how Acheron works, she has her own stacks. It's going to be similar like that, obviously gained differently. It can accumulate up to 12 points. Feixiao gains 1 point of Flying Aureus for every 2 attacks by ally targets. Feixiao's ultimate do not count towards this number. After Feixiao's teammates attack an enemy target, Feixiao immediately launches a follow-up attack against the primary target, dealing wind damage equal to 110% of Feixiao's attack. If there's no primary target available to attack, she will do an attack to a random enemy instead. The effect can only trigger once per turn, and the trigger count resets at the start of Feixiao's turn, and when using the attack, increases damage dealt by this unit by 60% for 2 turns. So yes, she does have an innate follow-up attack, and she's going to have her own unique way of ulting if you did not know already. As for her technique, once you do use the technique, she enters a onrush state lasting for 20 seconds. While she is in that onrush state, she will pull enemies within a certain range and also increase movement speed by 50%. And after you do enter battle, you gain a stack of Flying Aureus. And while you're in onrush, actively attacking will start the battle with all enemies pulled in, so every enemy you have in the onrush will start that battle. Not at once, but in waves. And after you do enter battle, you deal wind damage equal to 200% of Feixiao's attack to all enemies at the start of each wave. The damage is also guaranteed to crit. If more than one enemy is pulled in, you increase the damage multiplier by that damage by 100% for each additional enemy pulled in, up to a maximum of 1000%. Looking at her bonus traces, for A2, when the battle starts, gains 3 points of Flying Aureus. At the start of the turn, if no follow-up attack was launched via a talent through the previous turn, then it counts as 1 toward the number of attacks required to gain Flying Aureus. For A4, when using ultimate to deal damage to an enemy target, it is considered a follow-up attack, and follow-up attack crit damage increases by 36%. So in that, you're practically getting a free increase. And on top of that, stuff like the Mo's debuff with follow-up damage increase taken, especially with characters like Topaz, who has follow-up damage increase taken with the E1 follow-up crit damage increase taken. The ultimate is going to benefit from that as well. And then her A6, when using skill, increases attack by 48% for 3 turns. Quick look at her Eidolons. Her first one, after using Bolt, Thunder, Blitz, or War Axe Skyward, it'll increase the ultimate damage dealt by Feixiao by an amount equal to 10% of the original damage, stacking up to 5 times, and until the end of that ultimate action. So you practically are just doing more damage. For E2, in the talent's effect, for every 1 instance of follow-up attack launched by allied targets, she gains a stack of Flying Aureus and can be triggered up to 6 times per turn. So practically meaning a follow-up attack is going to be able to give her a whole stack rather than just a half a stack, practically doubling her output. For E4, follow-up attack from the talent has its toughness reduction increased by 100%, and when it launches, increases unit speed by 8% for 2 turns. So more toughness reduction through the follow-up attack, and also increases her speed. And as for E6, it will increase all-type res pen of the ultimate by 20%. The talent's follow-up attack now is considered ultimate damage, and at the same time, its damage multiplier increases by 140%. so now it's considered ultimate damage, and a follow-up has a big increase to its multiplier, and then her actual ultimate gains a 20% all-time breast pen. So now that you know her kit, let's go over some strengths and weaknesses for Feixiao. The strengths are her single target output is going to be extremely high. She has very high multipliers and very powerful teammates if you are able to take off-level teammates, such as the all broken Robin. She's going to be her best teammate, or I should say best Harmony support teammate, as Robin can buff her attack percent, give additional physical damage, which isn't really Feixiao's damage but it's still there, damage dealt thanks to the skill, and also increases crit damage and crit damage dealt by follow-up attacks. She also has characters like Moze and Topaz to increase follow-up attack damage taken and also crit damage dealt taken. And so looking at all the stuff you can apply to enemies and also buff Feixiao with, the output you can get is going to be extremely high. Another big thing is that you don't really have to build her as a super fast character. Speed is still really good on her, but her main stacks are going to be coming from your allies, so you are relatively easily able to stack her up for her ultimate. On top of that, her ultimate is a rainbow attack, so you do not actually have to worry about the weakness types. So if they're not weak to wind, you can still lower their toughness bar. And on top of that, she's able to do damage increased based on the enemy being not weakness broken or weakness broken, thanks to the ultimate of having bolts under blitz and warlock skyward. So she is able to deal more damage in multiple ways, whether they are weakness broken or not. On top of that, you're going to be able to set up a very insane turn with her, thanks to the fact you can hold up to 12 points of Flying Aureus. So you are quite literally able to get 12, ult, and then ult immediately after again, which is practically going to be enough to nuke. On top of that, a big main reason is the fact that she is going to be a wind DPS, and as we know, wind DPSs right now are very poor. Blade, while he is very usable, he is extremely mediocre. Not saying he's bad, but he's not super good either. His damage is very low now, especially from the state we are getting. He's kind of just the only DPS option we really have, unless you count the Dot with Black Swan, but she's more of a debuffer slash Dot rather than a pure DPS, while Blade is more of a pure DPS, and now Feixiao is a new pure DPS. So now having another wind DPS is going to be really nice. But some weaknesses for her is the fact that it might be a bit iffy for a lot of players to build a team around her, as the best setups are mainly requiring more premium units, such as sustains being like Aventurine or Linksha, best support being premium with Robin, best sub-DPS teammate being Topaz. Not saying she doesn't have lower or free-to-play alternatives, like the new 4-star Moze is going to be really good with her. You can completely just run Gallagher with her. She still has really good options that are outside of her premium options, but the drop-off you're going to get from premium to not premium is very big, especially opposed to other units like Firefly, who has her best teammate be a free character and then also has Gallagher as well as the best sustain, as also being a 4-star sustain that was free. The level of investment to get a character up to their best potential is very different as opposed to other DPSs we have in the game. Again, not saying that her output's going to be really bad. If you're not running her with a super premium team, you can still do completely fine with her. If you are taking her on a proper or just more budget team, so running characters like March 7th Hunt, Moze, Gallagher, all that kind of stuff, she still will perform well, but the gap from having that to the premium team is very big. Another thing is it can be a bit difficult depending on the team you do actually run to get her ultimate. If you can't get her ultimate too quickly, then her damage is going to be extremely low. And that also ties in with this next weakness, is that her damage outside of the ultimate is relatively low. Her skill and follow-up attack do not do too much damage on their own. Her main source of damage comes from the ultimate being a nuke. So if you are running a team that may not enable her to get her ultimate really quickly, so you're not running follow-up units because you might not have them, or you might be running slower follow-up units or only one other follow-up unit, it might be a bit slow to stack her up, and if you are slower to stack her up, her output is going to be very low. As once again, her skill and follow-up attack do not do too much damage, while her ultimate is the main source of the damage she gets because it's practically a nuke. And now for the reasons you should summon for Feixiao. So obviously the reasons you summon for her will obviously depend on player to player, preference to preference, all that kind of stuff. But some general things you want to look for is if you are in need of another DPS. Building a team around Feixiao is going to be really good, especially if you are someone that might already have other characters. So I'm someone that advocates having your 2 sustains first. Getting 2 limited sustains is just very important. So if you're someone that might already have your 2 sustains, then you can look towards getting a DPS for your second team, or if this is your first DPS as well, that works as well. So if you are in need of a DPS and you are willing to get the teammates or at least build a team around Feixiao, she is going to be a really good option. Another big perk to think about is, once again, she is going to be practically the only other win DPS in the game. And so if you have premium units already laying around, like if you're someone that's been playing for a bit and you already have units like Topaz, maybe you picked up Robin, you got Aventurine, or you probably just have another sustain like a well-built Gallagher, then you already have a really good team for her that you're able to put her on. Boom, she's going to be good value to you. That also applies to people that are going to be summoning for the upcoming premium units. So if you're someone that plans on actually getting Robin, plans on getting Topaz in the second half, and then you're interested in getting Feixiao too, so you can pick her up, and then you just have to wait for the Topaz rerun to roll around after you do get the Robin on the first half, and then boom, your team is set up there. So if you're someone that already has units, or you're willing to get them, she's going to be a great pickup. Or if you're someone that maybe not planning on getting those other units and you might not have them, but you're still wanting her and you do need another DPS, and you're willing to build the other characters, like pick up a Mose from her banner, focus on building a good sustain for her, someone like Gallagher, and then also investing in another unit that might be really good with her that is more on the free-to-play side, such as Hot March 7, then she can be another good option for you. And then the reasons why you shouldn't summon practically ties into the direct opposite reasons of why you should summon. If you're already someone that already has set DPSs, such as you already have maybe a Acheron team and a other follow-up team that already exists, and they already perform the roles well, so you don't really need another DPS. So if you're someone that is in that situation where you already have your set DPSs and they perform the roles well, then you do not really have to consider getting another one. Another thing is, if you are someone that might not have Topaz, Robin, the premium units, but you want to have Feixiao perform at nearly her best, but you don't want to get those units for whatever circumstance you're in, that's going to be a big hit, and you probably don't want to do that. And if you're also not interested in building the lower options, such as you don't really want to get or build Mose, or maybe you don't want to build March 7th either, that's going to be another reason why you could consider skipping, because you won't really have the team, because she's going to be very, very team dependent as well. And then something to add is maybe if you're not really interested in getting a win DPS, because there are characters that can implant stuff and all that kind of stuff, so you don't really have to consider it too much, but it's a good thing to consider in the future potentially. But if you're really not interested in that kind of perspective, then that can be another reason for you to have less value in getting her. But yeah, pretty much if you just already have your DPSs set, then you don't really need another one, because you already have your set DPSs that can clear your end game content. If you're not really willing to get, or you already don't have her premium team and you're not really willing to invest in the lower options, that's going to be another reason for you to skip, because again, she's very team dependent. And then if you're not really interested in the wind DPS potential stuff in the future. And yep, that is the should you summon for Feixiao. Personally, I'm super hyped, and I honestly really want to get her E2, but I do not think I'm going to go for it, because that's a lot of money and I don't really want to spend that much. Considering Lingshui is right after 2, and I kind of want to get her E1 to see what I can do with it. I don't really know what's going to be happening. We'll kind of see. If I get really lucky, then we'll go crazy, I guess. But yep, hope you guys found the video helpful. Peace out.